Good afternoon. How are you? My name is Melvin Burns II, and normally when this time rolls around, you see my co-host Greg Roberts, and he'll introduce the show. And I'm fortunate enough at times that he will bring me in as the co-host. Well, today they have given me the keys to the car. Lady J is making sure I don't run it off the road, but they've given me the keys to the car, and I will be hosting the show. Greg, get ready, get well, brother, and we'll talk next week. But I'm going to try and drive the vehicle. If you ever seen the movie Risky Business or Home Alone, that's kind of how I feel without my brother here today. But we do have a good show for you this afternoon. My guest today, we talked to him a few weeks ago. He was a candidate for the Muskegon Heights City Council. And as you know, the elections took place on November 2nd. And so last week we had a chance, we had him on for a minute, but we had a bad connection and he was driving. But we had a chance to talk to a couple of commissioners from the city of Muskegon who were first time commissioners. And so he's a first time city council person. So would you join me in welcoming to the show, Mr. Ronald Jenkins? Mr. Jenkins,
How you doing, Mr. Burns? How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Welcome to the show this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, first and foremost, congratulations on being elected to the Muskegon Heights City Council.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's great honor, man. Great honor to serve the community with a lot of dignity and a lot of respect right now. So I'm, like I told him, ready to get to work, man.
Yeah, we had a couple. We've talked about this some, but some people may be catching it for the first time. Um, I think you officially became a candidate. Was it the end of May or end of? I forget the time frame. When did you officially become a candidate for city council? Was it
I actually did my paperwork back in February, I want to say.
okay? Oh, you were
Yeah.
early, huh?
Yeah, I
Okay,
was very early. I was for sure what I wanted to do back in February. So
okay,
um wasn't shyful, didn't wait until the last minute to get things done. So soon as it was time and opportunity to actually put my name in, I put it in. I just wasn't really talking about it. So
uh huh.
I just put it all in and went from there.
Okay, and so you spend several months campaigning up to the big day. And we've talked a bit about that in the past. That whole campaign process. Um, so take us up to right before election day. You have any butterflies, any nerves? What was that? What was that day like?
Actually, I did not have butterflies because I
Uh-huh.
guess I had in my mind that if God put me in it, he'll get me through it.
Okay.
So I had that attitude. Um,
Okay.
I felt like I had did everything that I needed to do, even though I think I could have done more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I could have done more, but at that time I thought that I had done everything that I needed to do or that I could do at that point to get those that was going to go out and vote to make that decision whether they were going to vote for me or against me. I think the thing was that I was more concerned about up until election was the people getting out to vote, period.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they was voting for me or not. My main concern was getting the city of Muskegon Heights citizens out to vote,
Okay.
for them to understand the importance of the numbers.
Yeah.
When the state look at numbers, they look at the people that care where they are, where they reside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we talk that enough. I don't think we actually teach it enough. I don't think we actually preach it enough. The importance of our voices being heard, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time is not coming into the council chambers. Is not going into the church house. Is not going to the street. Is literally going to the polls and voting. That's where your voice means the most when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to these governmental local elections.
Yes. Yes. So election day comes around. What did you spend election day? Did you get around to the polls during that day or?
Yeah, I actually did. I actually did. Prior to, I had already talked to Miss Waters and Miss Gibbs. I had already talked to both of them and knew that we had 100 yard distance or whatever that case was. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew that already, and I had already walked out to actually just get a chance to see where I would be able to just be able to let people see my face.
Okay.
So I was out probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I was just at the pole, just standing outside. I mean, I went from Christ Temple, so I went from Hackley back to Peck, from Peck to Hackley, throughout the day,
Okay.
and still kept my normal day going. I mean, I had to be over at the school because we were hosting district volleyball tournaments.
Okay.
So I actually still did that. I actually went to the school. I'm like, hey, there's nothing I'm gonna be able to do here. So I went and did my normal day. But
Uh-huh.
when we had a break in between games, I went back to the polls again. I went back out to Christ Temple and back over to Peck Street. Even went over to Urban Apparel and talked with Thomas for a little bit while I was there,
Okay.
just for people to see it. And I think it was just probably that little edge of
Okay.
me actually being out there and people seeing me and seeing that I was caring because it was cold.
Yes.
And people saw me out there, people saw me standing. And I think it was just that little edge of maybe that one or two people that was indecisive about who they wanted to vote for. And thankfully that they chose to vote for me.
Okay. And so what time did you find out you had won election?
Wow. Um, I guess we got done with tournaments about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and
Okay.
so I don't think Muskegon Hikes posted it until almost 10 o'clock at night.
So you didn't have a victory party and people gathered at a campaign headquarters?
No, I don't do all that. I went up. I mean, some of the candidates was together. I went up because they had a thing over in the hikes there, and I went over there for a moment
Mm-hmm.
and just showed my face, like I said, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to be there. And I'm not a people's person like that. I don't really go out like that, all out
Uh-huh.
in the atmosphere like that. I'm more of a loner, and it's kind of funny when people hear that, be like, "Man, but you do basketball, you're around people," and I think I'm like, that's the purpose, that's the reason. I'm around people all the time, so when I
Yeah.
get a chance to like be to myself and relax and just have that peace of mind, that's what I like to do. So when I got
Uh-huh.
done at the school, I stopped by for a moment, and I think I got a call from Greg Roberts, thankfully, hopefully, and praying that he gets better. I got a
Mm-hmm.
call from him, and stating that they were they were waiting for the numbers and things to come in as well. And I heard like I said, roughly around a little bit after 10 o'clock, but I knew not to put all my bank into that. Again, after talking to um, the county clerk, you don't put nothing in until, or put your bank in until the next morning when everything gets finalized. So
Right.
even though I saw things there, um, I was not content. So I
Mm-hmm.
went home and showered and ate and went to sleep.
Okay.
But I was up about 5 o'clock in the morning, man, looking at the news, switching back and forth to channels because I was looking. I mean, I knew what the city election numbers were stating, and I'm looking at WZZM 13. Then
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at Fox because WZZM 13 only had the two
Okay.
winners from the city of Muskegon Heights. They didn't
Okay.
have any other names or candidates and things like that. But
Okay.
for whatever reason, Fox and News 8, they were running all the names, no matter who won or who lost. They were
Oh.
showing all the numbers.
Oh wow.
So Fox News actually really gave me the real numbers at the end of the day. So I
Okay.
found out probably about 5 or 6 o'clock in the
So
morning.
you went to bed not knowing for sure, huh?
No,
Oh
no,
wow. Okay.
no,
Okay.
no.
So, without naming names, did you hear from any of the other candidates or council members? Congratulations.
I
Before
did. I did. I did hear from the other candidates. Like I said, even at my swearing in, um, I was real. I was happy
uh-huh.
that I did not have a lot of negative influences come into my ears.
Uh-huh.
And even when I say that, Mr. Burns, some people get, like, really, like, I'm like, yeah, I just don't surround myself with a lot of people that's negative. I mean, I got so much stuff going on,
Uh-huh.
so I wasn't listening and hearing a whole lot of stuff that was being said, whether it was being said positively or negatively. I just tried to stay busy, and
Okay.
so I was able to hear from the other candidates, and some congratulatory comments coming from each of them. But at the same time, you were happy at the same time, but yet at the same time sad.
Yeah.
You wasn't it wasn't, and I still, it was nothing for me to celebrate for.
Okay.
Um, I couldn't celebrate. I'm not celebrating because at the end of the day, the lack of numbers that really came out to the polls, that affects me. Um, just not having the numbers out, because
Yeah.
we know that we have many more people in our community that care. And
Okay.
that's one of the things, Mr. Burns, when we were out campaigning, I
Mm-hmm.
know that I had a lot of support. I mean, there was no doubt about it. I mean, the support system was there, but
Mm-hmm.
that never concerned me. What concerned me, will they go out and vote?
Yeah.
And sure enough, the concern that I had was the exact thing that came out at the end of the night. We
Yeah.
did not have people going to the polls
Yeah.
to vote what they care about.
I told somebody once before, how many votes was it? 370. How many votes did you have?
376, I believe it was.
You'll at least want to listen to 1,000 people to tell you they voted for you after you get
Yeah,
elected.
yeah.
You know?
Oh well,
Yeah.
yeah. Guess what? The next day when I'm walking around the city, I voted for you. I voted for
Yeah.
you. What you gonna do now? Because I
Yeah.
voted for you, and I'm sitting up there like, okay, thank you very much. But at the end of the day, that many of the people that were saying it were not the ones that went out to the polls.
So even though
You know.
you won, it's a disappointment that more people didn't participate. And I think for people that don't know, the two incumbents are reelected, and then came in third, and you had a challenger was pretty close behind you. Mr. Muhammad, I
Hmm.
think, was 6 or 9 votes behind you. But again, the two top, I don't think any candidate got more than 500 votes.
No
Uh,
one, no one.
I didn't get the total number of people that voted, but it could have been more than 900,000 people probably voted. Um,
Yeah, because it was 400 and maybe 425 for Miss McLaughlin,
yeah,
Councilwoman McLaughlin, 421 or something like that for Councilman Williams,
yeah,
376, 367, and then I think it went to 354 or something like that
yeah.
for Miss Fox.
So,
Um, so everybody was close. I mean, it was
both, yeah,
not a
yeah. So, again,
dynamic blowout.
yeah, I don't remember the final number. That tells me it couldn't have been more than it wasn't 1,000 people voted. I don't think with that number, maybe 800, 900. But so we still have work to do there. One of the things we asked the candidates the commissioners elect last week. Did anybody give you any advice during the campaign that you took? Did anybody give you any advice that you kind of said, "Nah, I don't think I'll do that"? Okay. Did you hear my question? We have a little. Okay. I'm not getting sound from you right now, but give us just a second here. We'll reconnect. Again, for those of you that are listening, we've done some election follow up. Last week we had a chance to talk to the commissioners elect for the city of Muskegon. And today we had Mr. Jenkins on, and we lost the connection. But today we have City Councilman Ron Jenkins. And for those of you that don't know a little political education in Muskegon, even though the election was November 2nd, their commissioners take office in January. In Muskegon Heights, um, the new council members take office at the next meeting of the city council. And so there's a significant difference. Oh, Mr. Jenkins?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. I was saying uh, during the campaign, we asked the candidates this last week, any particular advice you received from anybody that stood out and you kind of took their advice? And you recall any advice that you received, you kind of said to yourself, no, I'm not going to do that.
Actually, no. There wasn't really any advice that people were giving me. Because again, I really try to surround myself about positive people.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was really not negative stuff that other people were trying to tell me or trying to convince me to do.
Uh-huh.
Um, no, I just, and most people know that I'm more of a positive minded person anyway.
Okay.
So I think, again, like I stated earlier, I stay away from as much of that as possible.
Okay. Good. Okay. So you get up 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. You wake up the whole house, let everybody know, hey, I'm call me Council Member Jenkins from now on. So,
Actually, no. Actually, I keep telling people, most of the people, I say, I understand where they're going with it.
yeah.
But for the most part, I tell people I'm Ronald. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's who I am. I
Yeah.
understand the political side of it when I have to be in a business atmosphere. I understand it. But right now, you know, I'm just still who I am. It's just like you, Mr. Burns. You're just who you are.
I try to be. I try to be. There's places and times for titles when they're appropriate, but you always want to be approachable to people. For
Right,
sure.
exactly,
Sure.
exactly. So I'm just an average person. At the end of the day, I'm still who I am.
Yeah. So Monday night, I was just explaining to the listeners in Muskegon, the commissioners they elected won't take office until January, and in Muskegon Heights, and we had a charter revision. I recall it specifically. It was at the time I was there, and we changed it for to have council members take office at the next meeting, and part of that change was because we're a council manager form of government, and while it's good to have some history, we kind of found sometimes more harm than good can be done in that lame duck session, as they
Hmm.
call it, and the business of the city continues on despite the change of council people. And so we felt the legislative side, that was a discussion at the time that the city wouldn't necessarily suffer any harm if the next council members took office immediately. And so the next Monday after the election, um, I stuck my head in the door and I know I stick my head in for the swearing in because I enjoy watching. I enjoy, just especially people their first time, just that initial, swearing in. So, does it ever hit you at any point that Monday night? You were very sharp, by the way. Did it ever
Thank
just
you.
kind of hit you you know, this 9, 10,000 people in this community, you're one of the seven people they've elected and put the responsibility in your hands. Does the weight of that ever sit on you at any point during that night? You're there, you're raising your hand, you're taking this oath of office.
I think, and thankfully to Judge Pittman
Mm-hmm.
for coming in and actually doing the ceremony, the swearing in,
Mm-hmm.
because it was awesome for him to have Judge come in and be a part of that swearing in.
Uh-huh.
Um, but still, I'm just honored. Nothing again, nothing changed with me.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed because the same thing that I'm doing still right now today is the exact same thing that I was doing the day before.
Yeah.
So it hasn't. Nothing has changed. It was a difference sitting on the council and looking out amongst the people because now you can actually see all the facial expressions from the people.
I don't. Somebody we were talking about this. We were saying how I guess as a pastor, I tell people too. You can see people. You can see their faces. We can see
Yeah,
what you're looking at
yeah.
when you roll your eyes. Also,
Uh,
we can actually see you.
oh yeah, we can see the body language. I mean, the
Yeah,
body
yeah,
language tells a lot. And so I was able to see that, and at the end of the day, you start to see how just a change of a title changes how people look at you.
yeah,
You're the same person that you were 5 minutes ago, but
yes,
because now you have a title change, people begin to side eye you as if you are a monster
yeah.
or you a person that put on a different suit,
Hmm.
went from Batman to Superman or from Clark Kent to Superman, whoever the case is. Um, and that's the only, again, that's the disappointment that I see
Yeah.
amongst our people. Mr. Burns, I can't tell you how many people that came up to me and said, "Well, Councilman Jenkins or Ron, are you going to be just like everybody else? Are you going to do this? I mean, are you going to change? Are you going to do this?" And I just looked at him, and this are my honest words that I said to him. I said, "Are we really having this conversation right now?"
Uh-huh.
I said, "To be totally honest, I said, how long have you known me?
Uh-huh.
And anybody that know me know that I don't change. Anybody that know me that I'm going to stand up for what's right and I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that those people who I've never met or those people that I have not been in conversation with or don't know me very well at all. I can understand those people asking me those questions.
Mm-hmm.
But those people who know me, who've been around me, and was a part of my upbringing to come and ask me those questions, that is offensive to me because at the same day, I'm looking like, why am I even entertaining this conversation?
Mm-hmm.
This is a conversation that don't even it don't even really matters right now because if me changing a title change your perception of me that fast, then
Mm-hmm.
it lets me know how you probably looked at me prior to,
Mm-hmm.
or now it's challenging me to look at you differently of what are you looking for, what are you going to be expecting here in the near future because of my change of title.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a
And
lot of things that people got to deal with.
yeah, and unfortunately, that's part of as you spend time in office, that's sort of those things you have to balance out because I mean, you will get that people respond to you different, people
Hmm.
have expectations, yeah, and all that's part of as you hold office, you'll kind of balance out. One of the things we had the two ladies on last week that kind of came to mind. Again, people, and you kind of said the same thing. When you win the election, it's not sort of this. My head is big and look who I am. It's more a feeling of humility that people
Correct.
have kind of chosen you to serve them, and that came real through loud and clear with the ladies last week, and sort of hear you saying that same thing. It's good to be elected, but you're there for a reason, and you want to be the same guy that people could talk to before and tell you what they thought. You want to still be that same person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very adamant about that. Like I said, my last name, my grandmother, my grandfather were honorable people.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized way back when none of us are perfect.
Uh huh.
Even in our daily Christian walk, we're not perfect.
Uh huh.
But we strive to be the best person and the best people that we can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I was taught from my mom and my family across the board, number one, you treat others the way you want to be treated,
Mm-hmm.
and you always do your best so that at the end of the day, you can go to sleep knowing that you did not do anything that was offensive towards someone else. So I carry that with me all the time. I taught that to my son, taught that to my nieces and nephews. And so I can't change. I mean, I'm a mentor in this
Mm-hmm.
community. I've been there for many, 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 many years. I mean, there are many young boys and young ladies, many ladies, and that have um, watched me come up and that I have watched it come up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't change now because then I would be unfit to say anything to them.
Sure.
So, Mr. Burns, I take pride in who I am. I take pride in, again, my name, my integrity, my character, the way I talk to people. I take that seriously.
I appreciate that. Folks, if you're out there listening, this is the 22 Political Show, and our guest this afternoon is the newly elected Muskegon Heights City Council member, Mr. Ron Jenkins. Some of you again may known him from some of his other capacities in the community, but he's made that leap to serve on the Muskegon Heights City Council. Ronald, now, so you get sworn in, and again, it's kind of unique. You get sworn in, and then you go up and take your seat. And so, and so you, so, and I know that wasn't your first council meeting you attended, but so you have a chance to sit in on your first meeting. We got a comment says, "I love me some Jenkins. The man is so honest and upfront." Thank you, Christian, for that comment. You have supporter there, Mr. Jenkins. Um, but
Thank you.
thank you, Christian. So your very first meeting, and I didn't stick around for the agenda, but um, what was anything hot going on at that very first meeting?
No, because it was actually supposed to have been just a swearing in, pretty much.
Okay, okay,
And so we do have a meeting coming up here this next week or so. That's going to be dealing with water rates and different things like that.
oh, so you
Um,
go. Well, this is budget time, so
yeah,
water rates that'll be a good one for you to jump in on and
yeah. I mean,
settle
we have a
things.
lot of work to do, man. A lot
Yeah,
of work to do. I'm asking a lot of questions
yeah,
so that I can get familiar. I mean, as a citizen and as
hmm
a concerned citizen over the years, I've always, as you know, even when you were back in office years ago, I was always like asking you guys questions way back when.
hmm
So I've always been um, entertaining questions and trying to figure out and trying to know what to do. But now this is a whole nother arena um, because now I really want to know more details. I'm a detailed person.
uh-huh,
And anybody know I will ask questions until I get the answer. And even though I get the answer, I'm still going to go back and search it. I'm not
hmm
just going to take what the first answer came to me. I'm literally going to look it up just to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm saying the right thing.
okay,
So I'm just that type of person, Mr. Burns. I've been like that all my life, man. Coming back in old school, I mean, we had to sit in the house and read. You know, we
yeah,
had to, and then after we read, we had to come back and tell our my mom and dad what we read, and not knowing that my dad at first, not knowing my dad had read all the books already prior
yeah,
to me coming there, so I couldn't go out to him and say what was in the book, knowing that it wasn't there,
uh-huh,
or I would paraphrase it and then when he asked me a question, because I was trying to remember what I thought he was going to ask me,
uh-huh.
um, I found out soon that that wasn't going to work. So
Yeah,
I take a lot of pride in that now.
okay, that's good. That's good. Any other issues on? I know again, I'm not putting you on the spot. This your first meeting, but I know you got a budget coming up. Any other issues? Um, how the next 60, 90, next 60, 30, 60 days between now and end of the year that you guys are gonna have to wrestle with?
Well, we still got to wrestle with
Mhm.
bringing revenue to the city.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we know we have to figure out ways of bringing revenue. We have to bring money back to the city. How
hmm
we're going to do that? We have to build homes. We have to. We have to get businesses back in. We have to try to find ways to get valued business owners to come back into our city and to invest.
hmm
Nothing else really matters outside of that because we can't keep surviving the way that we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I mean, if anybody's seen what I've seen or been in meetings, you know, we can sit back and Mr. Burns, we can argue the fact of who's going to be the builder.
Uh huh.
At the end of the day, we can argue the fact who's going to put the door up.
Uh huh.
At the end of the day, we know we need a frame there, and we need the house there,
Uh
and
huh.
we need somebody in there that's going to be giving money to the city.
Yes. Yeah.
So nothing else at the end of the day doesn't matter, man. We have to bring the value back up in the city. We can't keep surviving. We have over 10,000 citizens, really what anywhere from 10 to 12,000 citizens in the city of Muskegon Heights.
Uh huh.
We have 37 homes that are taking care of the entire city right now.
hmm
That can't happen. We
3,700.
3,700 homes
Yeah.
that are taking care of the city. And we're wondering why water rates are possibly going up. We wonder why, our city roads can't be fixed. We wonder why our school system is the way it is. We wonder why this. Well, let's go to the facts and put the facts out for the people.
Yeah. And,
Okay, and then go ahead.
and Ms. James, and you really, um, people may not follow what you're saying. So
Hmm.
when you say it's 37 homes and 10,000 people, what you're really, you'd hope that number, that puts us a little over three people per household. You'd really hope that number would be somewhere around 2.2, 2.3, where you have that, which means you have more households. That means those 3,700 people are once paying the property taxes and paying the 1% income tax,
Hmm.
and so that's just not enough households to sustain full-time fire department, a full-time police department, to have the public services you want. And so, one, let me commend you on doing your homework, and even things you say there. I remember some council people years that wouldn't get that idea of, you just got to have taxpayers, you got to have citizens, and
That
go
that's
ahead.
it. We only have what we have: income tax, property tax,
Yeah,
that comes in as a revenue source. Really,
those are the two big ones. Yeah,
those
yeah,
are the two big ones.
yeah,
And with these consumers and all those left, we're not getting the income tax coming in. We don't have the income tax base.
yeah,
And again, we all ride around. We see the empty lots. We see the decapitated houses. We see it,
yeah.
and all we can do is complain. No, we have to make a difference, and that was one of the reasons why I chose to step into the fire, as people say. I mean, you know, um, of course, like I say a lot of times, I had more than enough stuff to do. I had more than enough things to do. And I go back and again, I be very careful when I'm speaking on social media or on this platform, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm preaching or anything like that. But when I pray about things, I say, well, why me? Why am I being talked to like this? To go out there, can't we find somebody else that's already out there doing it?
Yeah.
And I reminded, like I said, the guys out, they were out there already fishing, and he stopped and said, "I need you to come. I need you guys to be fishermen of men now." So that's where I am with it now. I had to understand that I had more value to the city than
Mhm.
what I was doing. I had
Oh,
more value to the children and to the elders of the city than what I was doing. So now it takes me even more, gives me more uh, of a spirit, more of heart to get up in the morning, knowing that something that I may come across, some people I may come across, I can put a more of a smile on their face because I can be positive. I can give them the correct information. I can say we're trying to do this and be honest with them,
uh-huh,
not just give them a political answer because again, I don't just honestly, I don't care about politics.
uh-huh,
Just to make that known, I really don't care about politics,
uh-huh.
but I care about my community,
Okay.
and that's the difference.
Okay. 3,000 degrees. I don't know if that's a man or woman. That's really hot. 3,000 degrees. 3,000 degrees says Ronald is a good man. I assume he or she is speaking from experience, Mr. Jenkins. But they wanted to compliment you, let you know they think you are a good man.
Thank you. Thank you. That again, over the years, man, I take pride in just hearing someone acknowledge that because you don't do anything to get that. But over the years, when people can see your works and to see how you stand and what you stand for, and not afraid to speak up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So many times we hear people speak up on the negative things that may happen or may come about a person. But to speak on those positive things, I really appreciate those comments that's coming from those that are listening on right now.
Mm-hmm. Ronald, one of the things, you know, uh, we talk about things you've done in the community, and there can only be 7 council people at any given time. But why don't you speak to me about some of the other ways with the city government they can get involved? There's always the city's always looking for committees where people. I think you served on the planning commission in the past. Maybe share with people some other ways if they don't think they want to run for city council, how they can maybe get involved in their city government.
Well, there's the downtown development.
Hmm.
There is the housing commission. There are planning commission, as you stated. Different areas inside the city that you can just come and just ask, how can I be a part?
Hmm.
What can I do to just put time in? Um, it's not about money. It's about how can I help to make a difference in the city itself. And so with that, there are people that can be a part of planning about the ideas, the thoughts, what comes before council.
Hmm.
If there's some things that's going on downtown Muskegon. Downtown Muskegon Heights, I would say downtown Muskegon Heights, and they want to see some different programs come in. They want to see some different concerts come in. Come in, be a part of that committee and bring those ideas to the table. At
Mm,
least we can work together to try to make it happen.
okay. I was sitting here thinking before the program I was going to do this little thing and tell people to score themselves for local political activity. I'm gonna give you this little quiz. So you give yourself 1 point for each of these you've done.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so one is you've campaigned for a local candidate for school board or city council.
Yes.
1 point is you've run for local position, school board or city council.
Yes.
Uh, Three, you've given money. I probably should make this a 2 point one. You've given money to a candidate that run for school board or office for local office.
Yes.
Four, you've attended a meeting of a local school board or city council.
Yes.
And five, you've served on one of the committees for the school board or for city council.
Yes.
Okay, so you're 5 for 5 there. And just a little something I was sitting there thinking, when people, everybody's got a complaint, everybody's got something they want to say. I used to have this saying when I was at the city, it's like, don't buy ice cream in Myers because it will melt before you get out the store because people stop and ask you questions. So, but there's all these opportunities for people to do something. If it's as involved as helping the campaign or as small as, hey, here's some money to help with your campaign. But there's all these opportunities for people to have a voice and have something to say. Um, can they come to the council meetings? Will they have an opportunity to speak at the city council meetings?
Yes. And I encourage that, Mr. Burns,
Hmm.
more than what people can imagine. I encourage people to come to the meetings and to listen in the meetings, but also bring your questions along with the meeting and or write down your questions while you're sitting there to get a better understanding of what you're hearing.
Uh huh.
Because a lot of times the talk that comes from across the council members, you may not see it. You may not really get it. You may not understand it. And a lot of times we leave out of there just as confused as we were probably before coming in.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do in all that getting to get an understanding.
Uh huh.
And so I encourage people, even when I was on the school board previously, ask questions. I mean, if you ask me, I'm obligated to give you an answer.
Yes.
Now, I took an oath that I just can't come out and just start spilling things and just talking about things.
Uh huh.
But as a councilman, if you ask me questions, I'm obligated to give you an answer or find the answer or find someone that can give you the answer.
Yes.
And so when you come to the council meetings, we're not there to avoid you or to avoid your questions. We're there to make sure that you're getting a complete understanding and you're well informed by the time you leave out of there. Because a lot of things that go on, a lot of things that are said around the community, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, I just want to make sure that I put that out there. Not all the time. Sometimes there is misconceptions. I mean, it becomes speculation. Um, so it is not all factual at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So, and we all understand when the story leaves out from one person and then goes to the next and goes to the next,
Hmm.
the facts start being taken away.
Hmm.
And so that's what happens in a lot of our communication. So one of the statements that I made, and I don't think everybody understood what I said, or some people may not just want to understand what I said, Mr. Burns, at the meeting.
Uh
I
huh.
said we got to be very careful on how we say and what we say from our seats as we sit there as council people.
Yes.
Now, some people didn't like it that I said that, but I do understand that things that we say and how we say things, it either can put our citizen at ease
Hmm.
or it can put our citizens at a panic mode.
Yes.
Or, and inside that panic mode, with me serving with victim services and different things with the sheriff departments, I learned a lot over the years.
Hmm.
What we say can cause people to react differently.
Yes.
And inside our city, and we're sitting in that seat, people look at us as, and I say this out of respect and humbleness as to, and you may be able to find a different word. They look at us as the saviors or
Mm-hmm.
the people that is miracle workers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, and if we can't give the answer, or if we seem to be in that mode of panic and of distress and of weary, then they're going to automatically, many of them will automatically get that same way. And now, how we handle it from our position will be 10 times differently than how our citizens handle it. Because now, when they panic, they may think, okay, I got to go get another job. I got to go find another house. I got to go move, or I got to go stock up with food because this is going to happen next week or next day. So their panic mode jumps across the roof. And
Yeah.
we also know, Mr. Burns,
Mm-hmm.
that some of the panic and some of the stress that we may put them under may cause people to do things to themselves or others because of how they panic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
You know,
I'm very, very careful with that.
yeah. Yeah, and I see exactly what you're saying. You guys, people think you all are informed, and you should
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
But those, well, we've elected you all to set the direction for the city and to get us somewhere.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you all aren't hopeful, if you all aren't visionary, then how much less the rest of us will be. You
Yeah.
set the tone for us. And one of the things I learned early on, in city government, and one of my friends, the late Gene Fisher, used to tell me to say, he said, Bonds, stuff don't
Hmm.
always happen. You know, and he not sit there. He says things can always happen. He's like, but what you gonna do next? You can't stop stuff from things from happening.
Hmm.
We're gonna have fires and accidents. Unfortunately, we're gonna have shootings. We're gonna have businesses closed. But what do we do in reaction to those things?
Hmm. Hmm.
What do we do to all of those things? There is a reasonable, sound reaction to them. Now we're facing a revenue crisis in our city. Okay, what's some reasonable, sound steps we take to it? Not, oh my God, look how bad things are. Okay, we see the current condition. We're not ignoring it, but okay, we've elected some people now to tell us what do we do,
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
look for you to give us a response and give us a direction. Like you said,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, things are really horrible. Well, we kind of know that, and we kind of like the you to help us do something about that.
Hmm.
So no,
And I like the word that you use about visionary.
mm-hmm,
You know, and that's how we are supposed to serve. We're supposed to be visionaries. We are supposed to be able to find ways and to see ways of how we can get out of the situation that we're in.
yeah,
And it goes to mind that a lot of things, because of the position that we hold, we're giving that gift that a lot of people don't have. We're
yeah,
giving that gift. And with that being the case, if you don't have that gift and can't see how to get out, maybe we're in the wrong profession. Maybe we're in the wrong place,
yeah,
because we're supposed to be finding and being able to produce ways of change,
yes,
and being able to understand and let our people understand that there is prosperity, not disparity.
mm-hmm,
You know, we can come out of the slump that we're in by coming together as people. And
okay,
again, it comes from the schools, it comes from the cities, it comes from the pulpits, it comes from the daily walk and talks. We have to change our mindsets.
mm-hmm,
You know, whether people can afford or not, you will never be able to afford anything if that's what we say we can't.
right, right, yeah,
So
gotta be
again,
helpful.
I've been a part of the Optimist Club for almost 20 plus years, so I'm very optimistic when it comes to things. Looking at the sunny side of everything and making your optimism come to truth. So I am very, very, and sometimes is not always good being optimistic. Everybody don't understand when you are being positive. Some
Yes.
people just want you to tell it, hey, this sucks. Okay, well, it does, but like you said, what are you going to do about it? We know that part.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but what are you going to do about
Uh-huh. 3,000 Degrees was Andre Kitchen. He said he knows you very well. Um, and we lost Mr. Jenkins for a second. Folks, if you're out there, again, these past few minutes, we've been speaking with Mr. Ronald Jenkins, who was the new city council member on the Muskegon Heights City Council. You're listening to the Torn Into Political Show. And we're going to have just a few more minutes with Mr. Jenkins before we wrap up our program for the evening. Mr. Jenkins, you back with me? Almost. Okay. Again, folks, this has been Torn Into. We appreciate those of you who are listening and watching. We got a comment from Miss Marianne. Gosh, Marianne, I'm sorry if I mess up your last name. Zucks? You say exactly. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but how we collectively react to move forward with positivity, with positivity and real solutions is the only thing we can control together. When you hit what feels like the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. Thank you, Marianne. Marianne, you're an optimist. Marianne says optimism is catching, though when you have your worst day, then tomorrow got to be better by default. I don't know if you heard that, Ron. Thanks for coming
Yes,
back.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank her for those encouraging words. I'm gonna have to remember that. Please
Yeah,
text me please text me that exact words that she wrote if y'all able to get me that. That is
we'll see.
awesome.
We'll see if we can get that for you.
All right.
And I apologize, Marianne, if I messed up your name, Zooks or Zucks. But thank you for listening to the show this afternoon. Well, we have a few more minutes. Um, I don't know if you want to give folks an email where if they have questions, they want to reach you as a council person, how they can get in touch with you, or they can reach you and share whatever might be on their mind.
I'm going to give my cell phone. I'm
Okay.
always 231-578-8798.
Hmm.
Again, 231-578-8798. They have not given me my email yet. They're working on that.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting to get that, but I will make sure that I get that out to everyone.
Okay.
And again, I am reachable. I am approachable at any time. Um, all I ask people is to do is to treat me the way that they want to be treated. Um, and at the end of the day, even if you respond to me in a negative way, 9 out of 10, I'm not going to respond back to you that way. I probably just won't respond at all.
Okay. Folks, we appreciate you joining this afternoon. Ron, we appreciate you so much, brother. We see for years we catch each other in the past, and I think this is the most we've had a chance to sit down and talk one on one in
Yes,
quite a while.
yes.
It's been a pleasure. Hey, I wish you the best in your time serving on council. I'll be popping my head in from time to time. But again, congratulations.
All right. Hey, I got one more thing to say. I know we got to get off,
Okay.
but thank you for being who you are. Your dad was a big influencer to me. Um, with Mr. Charlie Flowers and your father, Mr. Burns, I was taught under as a deacon and trained. And your dad he was in the hospital. This is very sentimental to me, but I want to say this to you on air. Your dad was in the hospital, and we went up to visit him up at Hackley Hospital,
Uh huh.
and he was not doing well.
Hmm.
And Mr. Burns, you remember how his eyes were swollen,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were swollen shut. He couldn't even open his eyes. But with his eyes barely opened, he still said some things that I carry with me every single day, Mr. Burns. He talked about how good God was still to him, even in the midst
Mm.
of what he was going through. So, my encouragement to our city and to those that are listening, in the midst of what we're going through, we still have help on the other side.
All right.
And as long as we stick together, we'll always make a better tomorrow. So, Mr. Burns, nothing but love and respect for you, your family, PA, Big Rob, everybody out there. Mr. Roberts, get better. But Mr. Burns, don't you ever forget that, man, because I carry that with me every single day.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to keep myself together here, but I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, you take care now.
All right, take care.
All right. Again, folks, thank you so much for turning to the program this afternoon. We hope my brother Greg will be back with us next week. As our time winds down, let me ask you: give yourself a score. How politically active have you been? Have you campaigned for an office or campaigned for somebody? Have you given them money? Have you been to any meetings? Did you say something when you got there? Have you served on any committees? They're always looking for people to serve. Only a few people can hold elected positions. And so they're looking for the city at the school people to put their hands to the plow and do something. Okay. So being political is not just running office, it's not just getting elected, it's being involved in the process. All right. Again, thank you folks so much for tuning this afternoon. Be blessed. Take care of yourself. Love each other.